boy.
We're working up to neighborhood walking with Walter, and in practicing that, we are working up against some distractions at a distance. There are some children on bikes in the parking lot right next to us. We're working on a long line so that he is not hitting the end of the line constantly and he doesn't feel claustrophobic. It also helps me to practice verbal response rather than pulling him away from something. So if at all possible, I'm trying not to pull him away from whatever he's doing or a direction he wants to go. I'm trying to verbally call him so that he has some recall response, as well as practicing a little bit less tension on the leash, because we want to work towards a nice loose leash walk here.
Good boy.
Here you see Walter practicing some engage, disengage against a person walking by, and he does awesome. Distance is his best friend here.
Nice job. Nice job, bud. Yes. Yes. Good boy. Let's go look. Come on.
And here I'm encouraging him to go look at the person walking away, and then we practice calling away from that person in the distance, and he does awesome. The goal here is that he is not hitting the end of the leash. Sometimes it happens, but I want to see that he can come back to me without me pulling him away.
Walter, this way. Nice, good boy. He's such a smart boy. There you go.
The kids on bikes are just a little bit closer here, and he sees them and has a harder time ignoring them, but he doesn't react and he doesn't lunge, and he does come back when I'm calling him. So this might be a little too close for him, but he handled it very well.
Good boy. Nice job. Those bikes are hard, I know.
The kids on bikes followed us to the edge of the park.
Good boy.
We have a little escape route right behind me, so we are not cornered here, but he did a really good job of watching them and coming off when I was calling, so we actually hung around here and practiced a little bit. I'm doing some ready get it, where I'm tossing a treat towards the kids and then calling him away from the kids, so we're practicing looking and then looking away. Again, trying not to pull him away. I'm trying to use all verbal encouragement to have him turn away.
Walter, get it. Ready? Get it. Walter. Walter, this way. Up, 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 up. Get it. Good job.
And we finish out our session with a little bit of neighborhood walking. I'm walking around the school here so that if I need to, I can ditch out on the left and give him some space from things. But here he is doing a pretty good job of not constantly pulling on the leash. I am not following him if he hits the end of the leash, making sure that we try to keep it as loose as possible. Over here in just a second, he does pass a person across the street and does really, really well. Anytime he's stopping to sniff, I'm encouraging him to do so. I want him to sniff as much as possible because that can be a relaxing thing for the dog to practice. And there across the street was the person that he handled pretty well. He looked up and then kept sniffing. I'm walking him on a 12-foot line here just in case he needs a little bit more line, but he's handling half the length pretty well here, so we're working about 6, maybe 8 feet
A squirrel.
of a line here, and he's
Exciting.
not pulling. There's a person getting into their car across the street. Oh, and then there's also a person with a walker here that looked kind of funny to him, and he looked and he was a little concerned, but he looked away, and he did really, really awesome. So at this point, he's been walking almost 30 minutes before we take him to the neighborhood. I wanted to make sure he was warmed up and responsive, but His body language looks good. He is a little stressed, but not over threshold. He's responding pretty well. When he hits the leash there, I turn around in just a little circle to encourage him to stay with me. And then we continue on, and he keeps going really nice with a loose leash. Again, trying my best to use verbal cueing rather than just pulling him or using leash pressure to get him where I want. But when he does hit the end of the leash, I do turn around and circle, just to teach him that when he hits the end of the leash, we will turn around and not go the direction that he wants to go. All in all, this is a really successful session. I'm really proud of him.
Oh, you're tangled. Oh, there's a person. What a good boy. Come on. Good boy. You're so good.